What's up, everybody? We're just about to go live. Hopefully you guys had a lot of fun at Micro Center with us over the weekend with all the different hardware deals that they had, especially on Micro Center and Amazon. It's really hard to beat. Ricky finally had his build done. Hopefully you're part of the Discord to see that. And we are going to start very soon, as we are going to be live. Now you guys are more than welcome to ask any questions of your choosing that you would like, especially if you're thinking of doing some sort of PC build coming up. Excited to see everybody in here. I wonder how everyone is feeling, especially with this whole new build that's going to be coming. What's up, Vero? Good to see you. Camera will kick on soon. Had a little bit of difficulties. It seems like YouTube has changed a little bit here, like when it comes to the streaming side. So pretty soon we'll get started. Hopefully your build's been great. Hopefully everybody's excited for Battlefield, because I'm excited. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started here. And we are live. Welcome to this live stream. We talk about PC hardware, PC gaming, and also when it comes to PC builds. We are just about in the fall time of 2025, and you can certainly expect new hardware to come out. Now, it's not going to be a crazy amount of hardware as we seen earlier in the year, as we had the RTX 50 series release, and AMD released their 9000 series when it came to their GPUs, but we can certainly expect new processors to be released. And which processors exactly? Now I'm just speaking a little too fast, more than what I can think, but anyway, the processors that will be released somewhat soon is going to be these refresh of the Nova Lake. It's going to be quite interesting to see how that turns out, especially because they are going to come out with the new Panther Lake eventually, but it's just not going to be quite this year yet. Oh, I apologize. Let me clear that. How's that? Thank you for letting me know, Ezekiel. Good to see you. Awesome. I'm glad you got your coffee ready. Hopefully you come in and enjoyed the show. Hopefully everybody out there got to see how Ricky went shopping over the past weekend. His build is completely done, by the way. He actually posted an update on Discord, and he seems to be happy with it with the most part. We installed a 14th gen processor for him from Intel, and we installed it actually on the hood of a Mustang, which was pretty funny. Luckily, it was a pretty nice day out in Miami that day, and it wasn't raining, so we were able to do it right then and there. Originally, we wanted to install a CPU inside of Micro Center, but unfortunately, it was pretty busy when we were there, so we couldn't do it then. But it was a great experience. Hopefully, everybody saw some great deals. Hopefully, you guys made some got some great stuff. I saw that there was a 9100. Actually, I really want to install that and review it. Samsung 9100, which is a 5th gen SSD. Yeah, so I gotta say, the Samsung 9100, the 2TB version, it was only $200 USD, which was a great deal comparatively to what the original price was, where they were charging $300 for the Samsung 9100 Pro. Now, instead of charging $150 per terabyte, now they're charging $100 per terabyte. And hopefully the deal is still going on. It just makes more sense for the pricing of PCI Express 5 to really drop, especially in SSDs. Sure, it's a lot faster, but most people will not be reaping the benefits of PCI Express 5. So, why is the 9800 X3D recommended more for gaming than the 9900 X3D? And sure, I'll answer both your questions. I'll answer both Vero and Ray My Day. And let me answer Vero's first, since he seem to ask the question first real quick. So a lot of people recommend the 9800 X3D more because it's more of a fair balance, especially when it comes to gaming. Now, when it comes to gaming, it's because a lot of games don't really use the multi-core aspect of when it comes to gaming. A lot of games really rely more on the single core, plus the 3D V cache isn't really stacked up. There isn't a double CCD in there, like the 9900 X3D or the 9950 X3D. It's not double stacked, so it's not going to be a large performance difference if you are going to be gaming on that CPU. Instead, you'll see the benefits in other areas, such as rendering, for, say, if you do video editing or if you're more into streaming. That is what would be useful for the 9900 X3D or the 9950 X3D versus the 9800 X3D. In fact, if they had the 9600 X3D, which would be awesome, that would actually benefit a lot of gamers more than even the 9800 X3D, because again, you don't really need the extra cores as much. But now games are getting more complicated now, to where we've seen Unreal Engine 5, where they kind of complicate things. They do use a bit of a process, especially when it comes for the GPU side and the CPU side. So maybe in the near future you could see it, but I would say if you really are looking for a better improvement when it comes to like multi-core gaming, I would suggest waiting until they release Zen 6, which I do have news about that, which is going to be quite exciting, and it's still going to be compatible with a X670E or X870E motherboard. But great question, by the way. And also, for Ray My Day, is the 3060 Ti still good? Absolutely. It's still a great GPU. Only upgrade if you really feel it's necessary. Now, I do have to ask you, Ray, what type of monitor are you using, by the way? Are you using something that is a high refresh rate monitor? Are you using a 1080p monitor? What type of resolution are you using? All these factors really do matter. If you're thinking of upgrading your monitor, just say, also mention that as well, because then we can get a good indication of what your uses will be. And is it just going to be strictly just for gaming use as well? So I'm running the 9800 X3D on the ASUS Crosshair Hero Mobo Gigabyte RTX 5090 card. Nice, Ezekiel. And I bet it's still performing quite beastly. I gotta say, NVIDIA has finally caught up with their updates. There has been a lot less issues with NVIDIA's cards. Luckily, there hasn't really been any real serious issues, luckily. I feel like more of the issues, to be honest, if I were to look over the past several months, I would blame the developers more, not just on the NVIDIA side, but more of the gaming side. When it comes to Unreal Engine, I feel like that kind of caused quite a bit of a disturbance with everything, especially when it came to the uses. Especially you've seen with Monster Hunter Wilds how much it affected it, which was pretty bad. And certain other games, they were quite affected. Remember when Doom also released, it seemed like it was also quite an issue. But I'm glad that NVIDIA has resolved a lot of the problems. But the good thing is, if anyone is curious out there and who is in need of a graphics card, if you are thinking of going NVIDIA, they are giving out Borderlands 4 keys if you are planning to do an upgrade. Now, if you want to build a PC and you're looking for a free game, you could get the NVIDIA card. If you choose to do an Intel build as well, you can also get a Battlefield 6 key with the processor, which is a nice offer. Now, it doesn't matter which generation of processor, even the GPU, if you get an Intel GPU like the Battle Arc, you can certainly get Battlefield 6 as well with it as well. So I'm looking to buy a 5090. My biggest concern is coil line. What do you recommend between Astral and AORUS Master? Now, this is going to be a straight honest opinion because I can tell you from the both of them. Now, usually when it comes to ASUS, they do make awesome graphics cards, and they actually are one of the best when it comes to factory overclocks practically. But the only issue is just as you mentioned, a lot of their cards can run into problems such as coil whine. But the good thing is coil whine does tend to fade a bit more after more and more use, but it is a bit more noticeable on ASUS's card versus Gigabyte. Now, Gigabyte also makes great cards. In fact, a lot of their cards, from when I've used them or even tested them, have the least coil whine compared to all the other manufacturers, such as compared to, say, MSI versus ASUS, Zotac. I can certainly say that Gigabyte is certainly the best when it comes to being quiet with the whole coil whine side. My 5090 has no coil whine. That's great, because I know it can be quite annoying if you run into it. My 5090 as well, the AORUS Master 5090 does not have coil whine to throw in there, if that helps. Champ says that the Ryzen 5 3600 Hyper 212 RGB cooler, 32GB OLED DDR4, a 1TB Gen 3X Eagle. Oh wow, yeah, that's quite the build. Does a better quality PSU reduce coil whine? Now, not necessarily. Coil whine is going to be from the use of the GPU typically. Now, you won't really hear it when it comes to, say, like if you're on the desktop just like this. Unless you're really starting to stress the GPU, you will hear the coil whine. Now, if you do get a better quality PSU, it's great. It's awesome to have a better one, because the thing with a better PSU is it's not really about the coil whine side. It's more or so the side that you don't want voltage spikes. That's what you want to avoid when you have a PSU, especially a high quality one. If you have less spikes when it comes to your not PlayStation, but your power supply, if you have less voltage spikes, that's better for you, because then that can cause, of course, less damage to your system if that's the case. But that's what you want to really look for, and that and efficiency, such as they do have power supplies that are rated, such as, say, a silver standard. They do have a bronze standard. They also have all the way up to platinum. Actually, they even threw a new one in there as well, but I even forget what it's called, but it's some sort of crazy term. I gotta look that up, in fact, but it's another term that they threw in there just to top the icing on the cake. So how would you price that build if you were flipping it? If I were to flip the Ryzen 5 3600 build with the 212, it's hard to give you a price, especially if you're trying to flip it, because how much did you pay for that build? I gotta see if it's flippable in the first place. Vero, so how about the 0 RPM fan noise on the AORUS Master? Seen YouTube videos showing it makes a scratch sound when going from 800 to 0 RPM. Now, I haven't personally tested Gigabyte's PSUs, so I couldn't really tell you if it really does that or not. But it seems like you have done a bit of research yourself on it. Since you did some research, that's a possibility. Just to let you know as well, when it does come to PC hardware, not everything is built exactly the same. So you may have a completely different experience compared to the person who made the video. Now, if there's multiple instances of it and there's reports of it, that's a whole different story. But I can say, like, if you do plan to get a PSU, most PSUs now are pretty silent. The only ones that I can say are more the noisy ones from what I've seen and tested are thermal takes, but it's not necessarily really noisy. It's when you put the PC to sleep, then it will kick on the PSU fan and then turn off. But you won't hear the fan kick on if you're using the PC. So that's the only one I've experienced where it had the, say, most noise. But every other power supply that I've messed with, Corsair, EVGAs, Seasonics, all their power supplies have been really solid. ASUS is also linked to Seasonic as well. So if you do plan, say, to get an ASUS power supply, it is technically Seasonic. So a lot of those power supplies that I've mentioned are usually really good quality ones. Thermal take is also really good as well. Again, that's the most noise I've heard from the PSU side. Oh, okay. I apologize for that. So when it comes to the Gigabyte, no. What's up, enthusiastic? So let me go back here. I apologize for that. I thought you were talking about PSUs here. They also make PSUs, by the way. So I spent $350 for everything, or under $400 for everything. That's honestly not that bad, but I honestly would say if you were to flip it, you might make maybe like another 100 on it. Maybe, like, to be honest, like maybe like 100 to 150 for a build like that, because now technically that's almost like 2 generations behind, nearly. So I would say maybe the most you can make off of it is about that. So if you were to sell it, maybe about 550-ish, maybe. I have the Thermaltake PSU. Yeah, it's a great, like I said, Thermaltake's PSU has no issues. I've used it actually for several years, and again, no problems with Thermaltake. The only thing that would be noisy to most is when you put it to sleep, especially if it's a high-powered one, like the 1500. I think mine was the 1650-watt one, in fact, and that would actually kick on the fan. That's where I was thinking. Perfect. You found the perfect mark for to put your PC up, because somebody's going to get it. I gotta ask you, champ, can it have Windows 11 on there? Does it have Windows 11? Does it have TPM 2? I gotta ask that, because if it does, that's actually a good chance that you can easily sell it, because there's going to be a lot of people that have, like, say, a CyberPower PC or some sort of Dell PC where it doesn't have TPM 1.2, so they have to upgrade to a motherboard that does feature it. So does the AORUS Master 5090 have a power indicator to ensure the 16-pin is seated correctly? No, it does not have a power indicator, but I can certainly tell you it does. It's really easy to sit it in. No need to really necessarily worry about that. Again, that's like one of those cases, honestly, is sometimes has really blown out of proportion with the 12-volt high-power port. A lot of people do hate it. I do understand why. It can get a bit weird when you're putting in a 12-volt high-power port into your graphics card, especially if it does not click. You want to ensure that it does seat right. Now, when you do install it, you're going to see it. Do I got a 12-volt high-power port here? Let me see if I can pull one up for you. But it's going to look something like this, just say. I got one just sitting in the toolbox here. Something like this, right? So when you sit it in, a lot of them will have like coloring like this. You see how it's all blue? Let me just focus on here so you can see it right. You see how it's all blue? Now, a lot of 12-volt high-power ports will supply something like this. MSI has their own version of it, such as it's usually yellow, or you'll see all different colors for it. And typically, when this sits all the way in, you're going to see it butt up against the black side, and usually it should click. If it doesn't, you want to make sure you try to attempt to make sure it clicks, because that kind of ensures that it is in there. If it doesn't, you just want to really look all around the connector, the 12-volt high-power port, to make sure that it is properly seated. What's up, PM Effects? Yes. ASUS Astral cards do have it. In fact, the good thing about when it comes to ASUS's cards, when it comes to the Astral, in fact, it not only does it have an indicator light, it even it gives you a warning even. It lets you know, like, right away. I don't even think it allows you to even power it up. I would love to get one in here to definitely try it to see what would exactly happen. But happy to see PM is here. So B550 MSI Pro VDH, does that do It's a good possibility, because the earliest state of TPM 2.0 was on, I believe, the 550s, in fact. So more than likely, you probably have it on that motherboard, but we can certainly find out. We can double check it to see if we can have access to it. But more than likely, I suspect it does. If it does, you have a very good chance of selling it, because there's not only is Battlefield 6 going to TPM 2.0, but Call of Duty is also going to TPM 2.0 as well. Now they care all of a sudden when it comes to Black Ops 7, right? So PC is running great. That's awesome. So we have our guest here. If you don't know who this is, if you guys were part of the live stream on Saturday, this is our guy. He's just messing around with OBS now. This is Ricky. He actually, that's our guy here that just did the PC build. We all got to congratulate him here. I should have the applause, sound effect hooked up to this. Just figuring out OBS. I know it can be a pain to mess with. He's going to try to stream on his PC. Glad that he's here. PMFX. So the good thing about his build, I'll tell you all about it. And again, if anybody has any questions at all, feel free to ask. And feel free to ask if you have any questions about PC builds or any new hardware that's coming out, because I do have a lot to share with you on that side. What Micro Center AMD CPU bundle is the best bang for your buck? Okay, so we'll take a look and double check it, and we'll see which one, in fact. So we'll open it up. We're going to the browser side here. So let me just go here, and we will go to the browser. We are switching over. And let me adjust this so you guys can see. It's just going to be a Firefox symbol. And on the vertical, guys, I apologize. Sometimes it's linked, sometimes it isn't. So just give me a moment to go to Micro Center, and we're going to take a look at some of these deals that they offer. So I'm just going to shrink this down here. There it is. We're at Micro Center now. So Gigabyte says on their website, for the worst master, when experience any power supply abnormality, the indicator will alert gamers by flashing a light. Maybe it does, but from what I've seen, I haven't seen it. Thank goodness. If I see it, I'll let you know. But I have not seen it flash at all, and I'm not going to really force it to turn on if I don't have to. But if I do see it, I will certainly let you know. If they say it, it's a possibility. Can you? Okay, I'll certainly look it up for you, and I'll double check it. But let me just answer enthusiastic guys a question here when it comes to their bundles here, because usually Micro Center does have some great deals here. So we're gonna look at their bundles right here. Let's see, AMD bundles. And okay, so we're here at Micro Center. And let's see, so they have the 9800 X3D with 2 motherboard upgrade options. So usually when Micro Center does something like this, it means you can upgrade the board, like say for an extra $20, instead of getting the Prime, say like the ASUS Prime B850, you can go and get the ASUS Tough Gaming X870E, maybe for like extra 20 or $30. And a lot of times that's worth it, because then you get like more features out the motherboard. But if you're using it strictly for gaming, maybe the Prime is good enough for you. But enough talking here. Let me try to find you the best bundle. So this one here is $629.99, right? And this comes with the 9800 X3D, which is a really good deal. B650E, so it's a bit of an older motherboard, which isn't a problem. Again, the B650E and the B850E are not that different from each other. And it's even the Tough Gaming Wi-Fi, which is better, because then that also gives you the a bit more features on there compared to the Prime. Now it comes with the G.Skill Flare X5, which is kind of the plain black, but again, it doesn't matter. It gives you up to 32 gigabytes. I'm sure it's up to 6,000 megahertz. Usually when Micro Center combines their deals, they're not like Best Buy combining a Z890 with a 14th gen processor, which I have no idea whose idea was that, because that's just disastrous of them to even think that. What's up, Squeeze? So the other option, it seems that if you choose to upgrade the motherboard, you could go with the MSI X870E Pro, which isn't bad, but that's for $50 more. Again, that has a bit more features like Wi-Fi 7. It'll also have Bluetooth 5.4. It has a couple more features on here, and more than likely, you'll have a bit more speed, say when it comes to PCI Express 5 NVMe, because if you want to put two PCI Express 5 NVMe for whatever reason, you could do it on this board. Now, you could do it also on this B650E, but again, if you do it, you're going to end up splitting the power, which is something you wouldn't like to do. Difference between Gigabyte Gaming Overclock and AORUS Master 5090. Should I spend extra and get the Master? Thank you for your wonderful donation. I do appreciate it. I will certainly answer your question immediately. I'll put it up on the highlight display here. And I will get right back to you. What's up, Brent? Okay, so I'm going to speed this up real quick so I can get the Veru's question here. And with the 9950 X3D, what type of build are you doing? Are you doing more of a creator build? If you are, go 9950 X3D. That would be the better one. But again, that would be expensive. Now, I would say the most fair price, scrolling through, just quickly skimming through it, I like the, let's see, out of all of them, the best one I would say, especially if you're gaming, I would say is the base bundle, $430 for the value. Now, this is the 7600 X3D, comes with the B650E. Again, same motherboard, just a different processor. You're getting the 7600 X3D instead of the 9800 X3D. And again, you're getting pretty much the same stuff. Again, different processor, but you're not going to really experience much of a difference, especially if you're on the gaming side of it. Thank you, Brent. I appreciate it. So, okay, Vero, we have a very important answer to figure out here. What we're going to do is figure out the difference between the whole gaming overclock and the AORUS Master 5090. Now, the biggest difference between the two is if you get the gaming overclock, of course it comes overclocked, but it doesn't have certain features it's such as the extra fan. For example, the AORUS Master, in fact, I can show you real quick. It's going, if you see it here in the background, I'll highlight it there real quick so you guys can see it. That's actually the AORUS Master back here. Now, it has the LCD display. That's the biggest difference, is that you can actually monitor the temperatures and everything on the little LCD display that it has. It also does feature a fourth fan if you want to install it. It's actually a reverse fan, reverse case fan, practically. Let me pull it out for you so you can see it. The reverse case fan, you can hook it up. I kind of put it in its box, I think. It's somewhere over here. Oh, here it is. It's going to be practically a reverse fan. Like this one. So they give you this. So you can practically turn it into something similar to like say like an Astral, where it has the fourth extra fan. Now the Gigabyte overclock does not have this extra fan. It does not have the LCD screen. It has less bells and whistles than the Gigabyte AORUS Master, so to say. You just get a little bit of extra features. If you'd like to use it, you can. You can use this extra fourth fan. It does have like this rubber grommet that comes on it. So it isn't as silent. There's no vibration noise if you do install it onto the graphics card. Also, really good, sir. No problem at all. I love my 7900X with the 7900G RE. Absolutely, that's an awesome GPU to have. But also it does come with just extra RGBs on the side, really. And the fans on the bottom, they are also RGB lit. Now, if you get the overclock version, the only thing RGB about it are the fans. So if you're just facing it down on a, say, like on the vertical side, like where it usually is, then it's just going to, you won't really see anything. It's just going to look like just like a regular graphics card. But again, the main important part of it is it's still a RTX 5090. You'll still get incredible incredible graphics when you are gaming, and you can max it out 4K to 60 easy, no problem. 4K 120 even on some games. But that's the main difference between the two, and of course the pricing, because you are paying for the extra fan and you're paying for the screen. So those are the really main differences I can say between the two. But that's actually a great question, because if anybody's curious about that, that's with a lot of brands. Even, ASUS even has the 59, not just the 5090 Astral, but they also have the 5080 Astral, which is practically the same thing. You're going to pay top dollar for a GPU where it has a 4 fan on there, and it has the same indicators and everything as well. But the difference is, you're paying for a higher tier card with the extra bells and whistles, and of course the factory overclock. So is there any difference in terms of performance? Now, when it comes to performance, there's not going to be really a large scale difference, but I can certainly say, if it comes to the Astral, which I will happily pull up for you guys, in fact. But when it comes, not to the Astro, but when it comes to the overclock Gigabyte RTX 5090, and when it comes to the actual Gigabyte AORUS Master, there's not going to be a large significant gap. But I can say more than likely expect the AORUS Master to perform better, because again, it's a higher, you're paying top dollar for their card. So it's going to be just slightly more enhanced, and they're going to push that one more to the limit than the factory overclock card, so to say. But what's up, Carla? Good to see you. So, in fact, we'll look it up, because I remember earlier you even asked a question between the two. You wanted me to Google, which I'm going to pull up now. And right here. Let's see. Actually, I'll pull it up here. So if I'm comparing the two, when I come to the Gigabyte, there's actually a good website for this, guys. There's a website called Versus. You could even compare the two. 5090, right? Versus 5090. AORUS Master. Let me see. Right here. So we're going to compare the two, and we will go to the browser. So we're going back onto the browser. Forgive me, chat, on the vertical side. Sometimes it wants to behave, sometimes it doesn't, so forgive me on that side. So we're taking a look at the two. Of course, the price difference is going to be a little bit different. You're going to see $28.20 versus $25.99, right? These are just standard Amazon pricing. This isn't really comparing it with all the other websites here. Now, if we go down here, this is, again, we don't care about the price performance. Right here, these are just user performance. And right here is what we're looking for. We're looking for the standard clock speeds here. So right here you can see that it's at pretty much neck and neck when it comes to the standard clock speed. When it comes to the actual turbo, which means when you are actually like in a high resolution area where you're forcing the card to really kick on into like pretty much overclock mode, it'll hit 2655. So it's only 5 megahertz of a difference. Not going to be really significant. Again, you can always tweak it yourself if you want to even push it further. 5090, you honestly don't really need to tweak it any further. It's just, it will practically eat any game you throw at it if you do get a 5090 for gaming purposes. But you can also use it, again, it's also great if you do use it for other software such as DaVinci Resolve. If you're going to be using your 5090 for that, it would be great in terms of use for that. Also, the pixel rate, closely nearly the same, which kind of falls into the line when we were talking about DaVinci Resolve, which is the 467.3 gigapixels versus 448.3 gigapixels. Looks like this, usually you can measure that with something like Ada. That will be able to tell you something. And when it comes to floating point performance, 115.5 teraflops versus 111. slight difference there. Teraflops certainly helps determine when it comes to the gaming aspect of it, or when you're using it for any other software purposes, or you're using it for graphic design. Teraflops do matter then. It even matters like if you're into like LLMs, that's also great for that too. Also, when it comes to texture rates, it looks like pretty much just slightly better, 1805 versus 1734. And then a GPU memory speed, about the same, of course. They're both G7, so it's not going to be out of this world when it comes to that. Other than that, mostly the same on that side. As you see, if you pull up here, you're going to see, I want to see the performance mapping between them two, which is, they don't have one. That's a shame. Usually they'll put them next to each other to see like the performance map between the two. But again, it's only 98 points over 97. So again, it's not going to be a significant gap. You just get a little bit more bells and whistles with the RTX 5090 AORUS Master. Now, that's right. You also asked me if you wanted to see the AORUS Master to see about the indicator light with the RTX 5090. So I am a bit curious on that. Let's see. RTX indicator light. I will answer. 50, yes, it is awesome. It's a great card. As Eagle says, it's great. Believe he'll tell you. He's a great guy to listen to. Have you heard a rumor about next? Yes, I'm going to get on that. In fact, just right after I Google this, we will get into new generation GPUs, which there's a very good indication that there are some coming. Now, the RTX 5090 AORUS Master indicator. Let's see if there is indicator light. So we're going to Google this together because I haven't seen this myself. Let's go into the images. And I'm suspecting, oh, I guess maybe. Let's take a look. I guess, all right, let's go here. We're clicking this because we're trying to figure out if there is indicator light. From what I saw, or from what I seen from the card, I haven't seen one. Chris, you have any video settings on the 7900X BIOS setting? I do not. In fact, I should make something like that. Thank you for the idea. I'll throw it into my list for sure, Brent. Just for you, I'll throw it into my list. No problem, Vero. Yeah, it seems like there is an indicator light from what it seems like. It's going to be in the gallery side if they have it. Let's see. That was kind of weird too because it popped out on the Google image. And this is the Ice edition, in fact, just to let you guys know. If you're curious which GPU this is the AORUS Master. And if you look up here, this is what I was talking about. You could put the fan on the top here. If you want to add the fourth fan, you can. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be theirs, but it's good to use theirs because then you don't have this like black casing facing up, because I don't think anyone would like that. Spam. They're just out of control here. So let me go ahead and I'm more than likely suspect that they have it. Let me go back here. So weird. Check out CyberPower PC. Okay. Yeah, they have a lot of PCs. Okay, so let's go right back to Enthusiastic Guy here, because he brought up a very interesting topic, in fact. Scroll down. Okay. I'll get back to it, Vero. I apologize for... I just want to speak on it real quick, which is... You'll find interesting for all you GPU guys out there. Especially if you're looking for a new GPU or you're just holding out for one. AMD certainly is working on something for RDNA 5. So... They're not focused. Originally, we were all thinking that maybe they were going to come out with a 9880 or a 9090. Weird name scheme, I get it. But maybe that's what they call it. I don't know what they're going to call the next generation. Because It's going to be something crazy. It's going to be, you just know how AMD is when it comes to naming schemes. But anyway, the point is, they are coming out with 3 different ones. They have all 3 of them have different code names. Interestingly enough, in fact, I'll actually pull up the code names. Well, let me see what they are, because I know one of them is Optimus Prime. They're all practically all Transformers characters here. Let me see. But from what it seems like, they're focused on RDNA 5. It's going to be Alpha Trion. It's also going to be Ultra Magnus and Orion Pax. That's what it's going to be. Orion Pax is practically Optimus Prime. The 2 other one's going to be like a low tier card practically. And more than likely, you can expect Alpha Trion to be more of the card that it's going to be more of the mid-tier card, like their flagship card, so to say. But it seems that they're taking the competition a bit more serious. It's also rumored that it's going to match up even to the RTX 6090 from what I'm hearing. But again, this is all just PC hardware rumors that are currently going on in the industry, so to say. Thank you for subscribing, Carla. So let me go back to Vera. We'll continue more onto the graphics card topic. I know it's exciting. And allegedly, you can expect them to actually have a very, very decent card. It's even going to match up, allegedly, even match up when it comes to not just ray tracing, but also when it comes to, no, it just slips out of my mind. But it's going to really match up practically to NVIDIA. But again, we'll see in time. So let me go back. So either in Walmart or Amazon to buy. Now, usually I recommend to go and if you're going to purchase something, especially a GPU or like any PC component, I always say it's best to purchase off of whatever's the best price. But if you do purchase off of Amazon or Walmart, because they both do this, is that you want to avoid any type of really third-party retailer. A lot of them are really sketchy. If you see a RTX 5090 for the price of not really 2200 because they are getting a lot cheaper, which is nice. But if you see it more in the price of, say, like 2000 even or like 1800 USD, just say, then be really suspicious. More than likely, you want to stay away from those type of sellers. Make sure it's officially from, say, ASUS, Gigabyte, or another hardware store such as Micro Center or Best Buy, because they also do have their Amazon or Walmart store as well, weirdly enough. But okay, so let's go here to the key features, because more than likely, if we want to find this indicator light, it's going to be under the key features here, because they're going to talk about it. So it says that the RTX 5090 is going to be powered. Now, this is the AORUS Master, that it's going to be powered, of course, by Blackwell, integrated with 32 gigabyte, of course, 512-bit memory. We all know that side. Now, when it comes to the cooling system, Hawk Fan, which we discussed, the metal grease for the GPU, server-grade thermal conductive gel. Now, LCD Edge View, RGB Halo. It does have a dual BIOS, which is also something I forgot to mention. That's also a great feature that it does have. So the dual BIOS is good if you want it to be more silent or for performance mode. It's a little switch on the side of the GPU that you can easily adjust. It has a reinforced structure, versatile VGA holder, and a 4-year warranty. Now the VGA holder, very nice to have. It's very easy to put together and set up. Ironically, they don't mention the indicator light here, but maybe if we scroll down, here's the extra fan that we were talking about here, right there. Oh, to buy a cyber power PC. That's a great question. Let me know the specifications, Carla. Is there any specific one you had in mind? We'll take a look at that too. So let's go down here. RGB design, flowing light, yada yada. Okay. We get that side of it. RGB halo, cool. We want to know if it has indicator light. LCD Edge LCD edge view. The LCD monitor not only displays the graphics card, adjusts lighting. Yes, we spoke about this. Let's go down. Reinforced structure, dual BIOS. There it is. There it is. Power indicator. That's what we were looking for. Right there. Power indicator. So it does have it. So if that's what you're looking for, it certainly has it. Ultra durable. PCA is PCB coating. That prevents... Also, I do have to mention, when it comes to the Gigabyte AORUS Master RTX 5090, please be really careful with the LCD screen. Somehow I ended up scratching mine. So it has like a little scratch on there. So keep the film on there if you have it. Keep the film on there until it's installed. Or you can keep it on there if you're the type of person that likes to keep the film on the hardware. But I took mine off and somehow I ended up scratching it. But just be careful with that side. It's kind of like a plastic-ish screen. Just to be alert. So it does have the 4-year warranty. Here's their power supplies. This is what I thought you were talking about earlier, Vera, about these power supplies. But I do know they have them. This one actually looks pretty dope, but honestly, you're probably not going to see that power supply. It has a screen and everything, but in most cases, the power supply is like, they have a whole different compartment for it now. So I'm glad we were able to find it. It certainly does have it. If you do go Gigabyte AORUS Master RTX 5090, you certainly will be very happy with the purchase, I can say. For the most part, it's been really well. Have had no issues when it comes to it. The only issues, if I did run into problems with the RTX 5090, was because it was NVIDIA themselves with the firmware a lot earlier on when they first released the RTX 5090, but a lot of those problems have been resolved now, and now it's just been an excellent card on that side. Okay, so Carla's asking about the CyberPower PC, and whether to get it on Amazon or Walmart. Best Buy also has CyberPower PCs. Now, we can go ahead and take a look, and I'm going to switch my screen here. We're going to say walmarts.com, and you guys will follow me along. I just gotta go into OBS here to switch it to this other screen. So there we go, we're into Walmart now, and you guys bear with me over here on the vertical side, because I just gotta switch you guys over too. Let me see. Right here, window capture, properties, and Walmart. We're back on Walmart. CyberPower PC, I'm not sure my dad didn't build that. Oh, okay. Let me see. Let me see. CyberPower PC. We're just gonna look just for general CyberPower PCs. See which one's the best deal. See if they got anything good here. Would Amazon accept coil wine return? Oh yeah, Amazon will accept it if the box you poked out, if there was like a bend in the corner in the box. They'll take returns. They have no issues when it comes to returns. So if you do purchase off of Amazon, I certainly do recommend buy from Gigabyte, buy from the Newegg store, buy from a reputable store. Don't buy it from I'm the GPU guy 224 or something crazy. Whereas Dog Food and Kibbles, you don't want to buy from them because more than likely it's going to be sketchy as F. You know that. So when it comes to CyberPower PCs, if you're looking for one, a decent one, this one's actually not bad for $23.59. It's all white one, in fact. The Gamer Supreme. It comes with the 9900 X3D. Again, you're spending a little extra money on this processor. You don't need to. The RX 9070 XT. So it's a full AMD build for the most part. I'm really curious to see how this looks on the inside. Because, let's see. So it has two USB 3.0 ports and a USB-C in the front, it looks like. And it does also have let's zoom in on this, because I'm really curious. I am really curious about this. Okay, looks quite interesting. I'm assuming that's Cyber Power's own AIO here. Let's see. You think Intel will ever be at an absolute juggernaut once again? Not saying that they are bad, but it seems like they're a shadow of their former self. They certainly feel like that, and in fact, I do want to get into that case when it comes to Intel. What's up, Jonah? That's our mascot, Jonah. He's here. He came into the studio. But anyway, I will speak on Intel on behalf of that once we get a chance. Which build better, mine or that? That's a great question. That's a great question, Ricky. He just built his PC. Make sure you check out his channel. He just he just built his PC. I'm sure he wants to show it off. He started trying to stream. He wants to stream, so we'll check him out. So I gotta say, first off, Ricky, your PC build is going to be better because you're going to have a custom motherboard. Now, what I mean by a custom motherboard, not necessarily like custom made, but it's from a manufacturer such as ASUS, MSI, or from Gigabyte, or from whichever you bought it, whichever motherboard that you purchased versus a Cyber Power PC motherboard. Now, their motherboard is going to be based on whoever makes it. I can't really say for sure who makes their motherboard, Cyber Power. More than likely, it's going to be themselves that make it. And it's not going to be, let me see. I wish I could see the screws because I'm checking them out here. But there's only so much I can check out. I'm curious if it's ATX. But more than likely, it's not going to be ATX. It's going to have its own type of standoffs. And when it does, it's not going to be as good as some, like, for example, from somebody from ASUS or MSI or anything like that. They're not going to have as much power stages. I see, let's see, barely can see anything in here, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they have like about, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Like 12 capacitors there. I'm assuming the power stages are going to match up, or maybe a little more, if that. That's honestly not too bad when it comes to power stages. More than likely, they're not going to be all used. Again, custom AIO, 360 millimeter radiator. It does have, it looks like a Corsair DDR5, I'm assuming. And the GPU looks, just looks like a really plain GPU. Nothing crazy. It's probably not very noisy. It's probably the cheapest AMD 9070 XT you can get. Because remember, when it comes to pre-made PCs, they're trying to also gain profit off of it too. So from what it looks like, if this PC build, it's not a bad price, but it is a bit expensive for what they offer. For sure. It's definitely a bit more expensive than what it should offer. I would imagine if Cyber Power PC were to put together this PC and how much it costed them to build this PC, it's not going to cost anywhere near that. In fact, it's going to cost them more, like probably in the, I would say, like $1,600 range. And that's being like generous. Like it probably cost them $1,600 to do a build like this. Because they got it's not going to be a name brand motherboard. It's not going to be a name brand AIO or nothing like that. That's going to be based from them. The case fans is practically from them. So I'm being very generous saying that it's probably like a $1,600 build. Where it's worth it is the specifications, such as the 9900 X3D. That's a great processor. And the GPU is good. But it's just going to be a very standard GPU. It's not a Sapphire. It's not going to be a Power Color. It's not going to be Gigabyte, ASRock, none of them. It's going to just be practically just a board and some fans on it. But it's not bad. We'll take a look at one more here from CyberPower. Let's take a look at this one. This is funny. This is close. This one's actually close to you, Ricky, here, which is pretty funny. Except the GPU's not going to be nearly as good as yours, I'm assuming, because it's $907. Ricky's has a 14700K. This one's a 14600K F. When they throw the F in there, it practically means it doesn't have integrated graphics. It's going to just, and it also has to have a GPU, the RTX 4060, which is going to be the last generation, which is the RTX 40 series, 16 gigabytes of DDR5. So I can see why it's $907. It's a bit out of date when it comes. The processor's good. Now the RAM has to go up. It needs to go more to 32 to keep up to date. The NVMe is 1 terabyte. Not too bad. Of course, it's always worth upgrading. But is it worth it for this? Let's see. Again, it's their own custom AIO. So it's pretty much the same one. If you really look at it, right, it's the same exact AIO that they used for the other PC that we've seen. That AIO, that $2,200 PC that we saw earlier, same AIO. And more than likely, obviously the motherboard's going to be different because it's going to be a different socket. But the design looks pretty similar for the most part. Here we actually get a bit better picture, and the power, and seems like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no, 6, 6. So it's probably about the same amount. I think buying Hynix RAM is the way to go. What's your thought? Hynix is certainly a great choice to go. Hynix is definitely one of those companies that are underrated and definitely get a really good deal. I really like their NVMEs as well. Hynix is good for both RAM and their NVMEs. They're actually, it's funny, them and Samsung are actually becoming a bit more competitive with each other. But yeah, definitely go for it. And it's a decent build, but then again, for $907, that's not a bad price for it. It comes with practically 4 fans. It looks like it's going to be, I wonder how the airflow is in this. It's kind of confusing if I'm looking at this. You use both. That's a good mix, I gotta say. Thank you, Ezekiel. I do appreciate your time being in here. I'm just happy to see you. It's been a while. So it seems like this is the intake side, right? But what throws me off, okay, this is what throws me off about the airflow in this PC, is that you have 3 fans, right? 3 fans in the back specifically, not the one on the side. I wonder if there's another fan. The reason why this throws me off a bit is because it seems like there's just too much exhaust on this case. There's too much exhaust going on because it's like almost like a 2-to-3 ratio, meaning there's probably negative pressure in this case, which isn't good. You don't want negative pressure because then it's going to get hot. Meaning your components aren't cooling off properly. Yeah, for certain. I'll see you then, Ezekiel. I do appreciate it. Yes, of course it's the 4060. But again, it should, in my opinion, the airflow should be a bit better. I wonder, but they're both, it looks like it's 120 millimeter fans here. Or are they 140? Maybe they're 140. They do look a tad bigger. If it is 140, then that makes a bit more sense. It's a bit more even. But I would say, honestly, there's probably no need for this fan in the back. I'd probably disable it and the airflow would actually be better. So if you have a CyberPower PC like this, I would love for you to try that out to see if you get better airflow. It is 140. So that makes more sense. Let's see. Because if there's 240, it's practically like having like 320, like here on the side. Now the rotations, when it comes to the 140 millimeter fans, I agree. I think the front top fan should blow inwards because it's sucking cool air out before it. Yeah, I agree. Because I'm kind of sketched out. Honestly, I don't like this case then, if anything. I actually, why the hell did they do that? There's like an empty, you see that up on the top here? Up on the top of the case here? That, why does it almost look like a different case when you look on through the top view? You can see it when you go this side, right? You can see that they have space for another fan here. So, it's a really weird case. Really strange. Okay. You know what? Let's go back into the topic of, because sometimes when I see certain pre-builds like this, it kind of throws me off here because I feel like they certainly could have done way better when it came to the design, like when it comes to something like that. I would suggest stay far away from it. I gotta say, for Ricky here, his PC build, it's certainly better. It's certainly going to be better than that for sure, I can say. Especially, he ended up getting the H9 Flow, which is pretty dope. He got it for $100. It's an all white case. It's a so-called zebra build, he calls it. So anyway, to get back to topic, speaking of CPUs here, I did want to get on topic here of the about Intel, because somebody here mentioned earlier, will Intel come back to their former glory? And I can certainly say we will certainly see, because they're about to get tested hard. I mean, really soon we're going to find out, because it's going to be interesting, especially what is going to come out. It's not going to be this year, unfortunately. What they do plan this year is going to be doing a refresh of course, the 15th gen, because they have to have some sort of longevity for these motherboards. I think they delayed it because they know it's a mistake to immediately come out with LGA 1954, which is going to be based on their new processor. But let's go back here. Let's talk about Tony. Tony asked a question here. He's curious about the Arctic LF3 Pro. So we're going to check that out. LF3. Let me check it out real quick. Arctic LF3 Pro. Let's check it out, Mazola. Let's see. Now this, okay. I know exactly which one this is. More than likely, it's probably going to be pretty decent. I haven't tested it myself, so I couldn't really tell you. I'm gonna throw this on my list because this is something I haven't tried yet. And Arctic has been coming out with a lot of new stuff. I can say Deepcool has been one of those companies that have been underrated, and I know Arctic is they're actually pretty decent too, from what I've heard for the most part. But if you do want this type of cooler, it doesn't look bad. Let me see. Let's look at it together real quick. Because, oh, apologize for that. Just trying to get you guys on the browser here. Oh, I gotta switch the windows. Give me a second. There we go. And you guys over in vertical, poor guys. Let me go into properties here. Let me see. Where's it at? It's so funny because it's supposed to be linked to each other, but it's such a pain when this happens here. Okay, here it is. Properties. Okay, apologize for that, guys. On the vertical side. I've seen a computer with no PC. Yeah, they have those. Now, there's a PC with those monitors, so to say. It's just on the back of it. Most of those type of PC builds will have them on either back of the monitor. Now, I gotta say, Carla, there is some pretty dope ones where they actually had them, like, say, in the desk. like where they actually have their whole PC built inside of the desk, which is pretty creative for the most part. So when it comes to AIOs, some of the key things that you really want to look for is something like this. I'm glad they brought this up because this shows you that this is going to be a decent AIO. So it shows that the static pressure is at 6.9 millimeters H2O. So that's something that you want to see measurements for. Airflow is at 77 CFM. This is as important because the airflow side is not what really matters when it comes to these fans. The fans that it comes with, it means that that's how much static pressure gets pulled through the actual radiator of the CPU. So that actually cools it pretty decent. Now there's some fans out there that don't really have any static pressure. Those are the ones that you want to avoid. So this is a pretty good indication that this is going to be legit. So when I got mines, I got my 5800X to 27 Celsius. So that's very decent actually. Oh, and it comes with MX6, and which makes sense. I like how they mentioned that cross pattern. That's funny. That's a whole debate there, I gotta say. When it comes to thermal paste, how do you guys like to put it on? Do you like to put it like this, the cross pattern, or do you prefer to put it on as a P dot? Personally, to me, I put the P dot. Some people like to even spread it with the heat spreader, like the little, little spatula that they give you like for the thermal paste. Some people like to do that. Personally, to me, I think the dot is just much more simpler. This makes more sense. I feel the cross pattern on larger processors such as the Threadripper, because P-dot is just quite, that Threadripper is just quite too large to put a P-dot type of thermal paste on it. But anyway, so it does have premium tubing. What else? Splitter cable. We don't care about that stuff. So it says limited compatibility with certain motherboards. Some motherboards may be incompatible with Liquid Freezer 3 due to the oversized SSD coolers in the M.2 slot. I don't think that's truly the case. Now, I'd say that shouldn't be. That's interesting they put that. I wonder what motherboards it has problems with. That's pretty interesting. You do the plastic spoon? Some people do. Some people love it with the plastic spoon. That's interesting. So they even have a compatibility list. I think Arctic is legit for sure. They are 100% legit. I like how detailed it is. But I would love to certainly test one out. Even has 6-year warranty. Can't get better than that, for sure. But let's go back onto topic about Intel real quick, because I do want to talk about them. In fact, on the Intel side, it's quite interesting what they're going to do with the upcoming generation of Panther Lake. Now, some of you might be expecting that Panther Lake was supposed to release actually probably within the next month, right? That it was supposed to release a new Panther Lake CPU. But it seems that that's not going to be the case. Instead, that they're going to end up delaying the release until next year. They are still planning to go with a LGA 1954 design, socket 1954, so it's going to be based on a whole new motherboard. So for those who are looking forward to an Intel build, or unfortunately have to either build with either the 15th gen or the 15th gen, well, it's going to be, I don't know if they're really going to call it 16th gen. Technically, it's going to be anyway, even though it's a refresh. They've done it with Arrow Lake as it is, and all the other CPUs like Raptor Lake refresh. But anyway, they're going to come out with a refresh for the 15th gen Nova Lake, and instead, it's going to be a bit more of an improvement compared to its original predecessor. It's going to be called, instead of a 265K or a 285K, it'll be called 365, 385K. They're going to keep practically that whole naming scheme when it comes to it. And when it comes to Panther Lake, they'll continue from there. It'll be called 465, so on. So they do plan on keeping that side of it. But there is going to be quite the difference when it comes to their E cores, when it comes to their P cores, and their LP cores are going to be quite different. Now, as you know, or if you don't know, when it comes to the 15th and the upcoming 16th gen, there's not really going to be LB cores. I could be wrong about maybe in the refresh, maybe they'll throw something in there. But allegedly, the new ones, when it comes to the Panther Lake, is where it's going to end up doubling the E cores, the P cores, and throw in like about 4 LP cores, I think it is. But when they throw all those together, that's what's going to give you the 52 cores. And they will also have another one where it isn't double. It'll actually just be 28 cores instead. So it's a possibility that they can bring back their former glory, but they're just kind of just starting to get more competitive against AMD on that side, because then you have, you can go up to 32x PCI Express 5 lanes, which is something that was a big issue. I thought it was going to really change, especially when it came to the Z890. I was actually really looking forward to it because Z690 was honestly a great design, and Intel was one of the first ones that really pushed out PCI Express 5, DDR5, and again, it was a great design, but somehow they just really derailed. Again, they really messed up like on the way when it came to the 13th and the 14th gen, because it was issues with the voltages and it was less innovation. It seemed like they were just falling apart at that point again. It's just like they fell into the same problem. That's why they ended up firing the Pat Gelsinger, because of this issue. So Mike Palladino, forgive me, I don't want to butcher anyone's name here. Palantonio says, I really like the ASUS Sanctum PC case, but it has 2 intake fans and 5 exhaust fans. Wouldn't that? Yes. Well, why would they do that? I honestly, if you like that case, get the case, but flip it around. Flip around those fans. You want to make sure that it has more intake than exhaust. That's just insane. That's just going to cause negative pressure, if anything. That's terrible. For the black non-RGB, it's $89. That's a hard deal to beat. But going back onto the Intel side, I do have to say I'm really curious to see if they do become a bit more competitive. Here, let me see. Right here, for example, again, they're going to be more competitive when it comes to PCI Express 5. More than likely, you're going to see more mention of Thunderbolt 5. Also, you're going to see, it's also supposed to be more power efficient, of course, and that was the big key. And everything's going to double on Intel's side, but these are all claims. Will they actually hold up with it? Now, the problem is when AMD comes out with their processor here, AMD is, again, they're going to come out with another monster. And this is what Intel has to face. Somehow they're always ending up way behind when it comes to the competing against AMD. Because when AMD does release their 10th gen, or not 10th gen, now I'm talking Intel here. When they do release, when they end up releasing their 10,000 series, when Ryzen does come out with Zen 6, you can certainly expect a large difference. There's supposed to be a large scale improvement because they're going off of practically the 2 nanometer process or the 3 nanometer process, either one that they're going with. And then on top of it, they're going to double their CCDs, like what everybody has always wanted when it comes to their processors. When that happens, that means that you're going to get better performance all around when it comes to their processors. Also, that means there's a possibility of more cores that's going to be put in, and also you're going to expect more cache from the processor, because instead of getting 32, you're getting about 48 now. So you're going to see improvements on that side of AMD if that's the case. And it's going to be quite the beast. More than likely, it's possibly going to be even cooler. It's going to cool down even possibly, if that's the case, if AMD does do their magic. Now, Intel and AMD will certainly be very tough to compete with each other, I gotta say, for within the next year. This year, you're not going to see as much. You're just going to see Intel's Nova Lake refresh, and that's it. You're not probably going, more than likely, you're not going to see anything from AMD, but the 9600 X3D, which is something that we've been wanting to see anyway. We actually looked for that at Micro Center to see if they would have it, but of course they don't have it yet. 9600 X3D more than likely won't be released till November. And when that does, that's probably more than likely what you'll see from it. AMD's side, Intel's standpoint, you're going to see Nova Lake refresh. I see them honestly going to have a hard time selling the refresh because everybody is going to just sit and wait for the new processors from Intel. They're all going to, especially for all the big Intel fans, more than likely you're going to end up waiting for the, I wonder if it's going to be the Z990. I would imagine it would be, or maybe they'll just throw a different name scheme for the motherboards. But more than likely for the Z890s, you're going to hear Z890 Max or whatever they're going to call it, because when it comes to refreshes, they never really rename the board model then. So again, if you have any questions when it comes to PC builds, feel free to ask. But it's going to be quite impressive, I gotta say, when it comes to processor space next year. We can certainly see it. Also, speaking on behalf of when it comes to GPUs, there is going to be GPUs that will be releasing. The GPUs that we can certainly expect is going to be from AMD. They have a whole lineup ready, and they're very focused on RDNA 5. So if you are just really holding for dear life with that GPU, if you have a 1080 that you're holding on to, that you're holding on to dear life, and you're just wanting to switch to AMD because you're not liking the practices of NVIDIA, you can certainly expect that AMD will come out with a more flagship card. It seems that they are taking it a bit more serious, especially for how high the demand was for the RX 9070 XT. Because of that, they are working on 3 different cards. They all 3 have different code names, all Transformer code names, which is hilarious. I'll pull up the code names here once again. Hi, thoughts on the 9700X? I'm planning to pair with the 9070 XT. If you're planning to pair with the 9070 XT, that's a great combination to put together. Now, what type of build are you doing? Are you going to be doing more of like a creative build, or are you doing more of a gaming build? Let me know, and I can certainly help pull you more into the right direction here. But if you are doing a gaming build, that's a great one to go with. 9700X. Again, these processors are great to go with, and you still can be able to do PBO. You won't have any issues doing that with this type of processor, especially with the 9070 XT. Again, when I compared all the GPUs for this year, a gaming build, I would say definitely a good combination that you put together here. Now, speaking of GPUs, while we're on the topics of it with the current ones, out of all the GPUs, I gotta say, and if you're looking for the best value, you're looking for the best performance, out of all the GPUs this year that I've really tested, I tested the RTX 5070, I tested the RTX 5090, the RX 9070 XT, and I gotta say, for this year, even if I compared it to the last year's RTX 2090 and everything, I would say that out of all of them, that the 9070 XT has been the most impressive. Why? Because the pricing has been really good on the 9070 XT, and it gives the performance, especially if you're gaming on, say, like a 1440 on a 1440p display. The XT has been phenomenal, and it's been actually really easy to work with. And I got to give it to AMD. They've their software, especially with AMD Adrenalin, has improved tenfold. So I gotta say, like, if I were to compare all those cards, I gotta say they certainly have been the most impressive. So you're making a good choice, Tushar. Definitely making a great choice when it comes to that selection. Now, when it comes to RDNA 5, the current GPUs that they have lined up, or the code names, you'll really like them. In fact, it's Alpha Trion, right? And then you have Ultra Magnus and Orion Pax. Those are the 3 codename ones. And all 3 of them all will have a very specific meaning. Because, for example, Alpha Trion could be either for the card, because it's technically the oldest. Maybe it's going to be considered the oldest transformer it's known as. And since it's the oldest transformer, technically that card will probably be more than likely maybe the beginner's side, more of the, not beginner's side, I would say, more of the entry-level card, I would say. More of the entry-level card to start off when it comes to RDNA 5. When it comes to Ultra Magnus, that's more than likely going to be a mid-tier card. And then you got Optimus Prime, which is practically Orion Pax. And he's going to be the well-known character and more than likely the flagship card. So when it comes to the RDNA 5, the flagship card is supposedly going to be very competitive when it comes to even up to the RTX 6090. So we'll see how true that is. And yes, I did not mistake my words. A 6090 allegedly, but again, we'll see how true that is. I know some of you are thinking maybe will they even stand a chance against the 5090? We'll see. It's supposed to have really advanced ray tracing in there. It's supposed to be improved to the point where they're pretty much caught up for the most part. And also, when it comes to path tracing, it's supposed to actually even catch up with NVIDIA on that side. But again, we'll see. And allegedly, they're going to beat them this time from what they say. I know we always hear that very often, and it never happens. But let's hope it's true, because we need some competition and we need some fair pricing. Because if that's the case, just imagine you get the power of a RTX, say 6090 for the price of that's $1,500. I mean, why wouldn't you take a deal like that? No problem, Tushar. I'm glad that certainly helped you there. Now, when it comes to AMD's other card here, which is going to be supposedly called Ultra Magnus here, that's going to be the one that's going to be more closer competitive when it comes to the 5090. And again, these are all rumors. This is all industry rumors that are currently going on in the industry. And again, we'll see how true it holds. Because I'm really curious when we'll get a taste, we'll sort of get a taste when RTX, when NVIDIA releases their 50 series super cards, which will happen. It's going to happen. And you can certainly expect them not this year, but it's going to happen probably around February to March of 2026. Expect it at CES. Expect it at CES for 2026. More than likely it'll show up then. And when it does, then we'll certainly take a look at it to see how well it is. That's if they show it then. Maybe they'll hold it off for the GDC Summit, which is in March. But more than likely, I'm expecting CES. Bro, can you make a build for under $500? Yeah, just send... Okay, for under $500? Where are you located? Hopefully you're in the States. If you are, we'll see if we can make it happen. But if you're interested in a build, just feel free to go to my website, which is chrismizo.com. And if you go to my website, send me an email, and I'll reach out to you that way. But if I'll see what I can do. But I can't make any promises. I gotta know what state you're in, because currently I only ship within the U.S. and to Canada. So we'll see if we can make it happen. How's that? And I'm assuming you want to play Battlefield 6 because TPM 2.0 is going to be something that you're going to need too. But I really hope that AMD does step up their game when it comes to their GPUs. I'm really curious to see what 50 series has to offer. More than likely, we're going to see 3 cards from what I've known. That's been rumored, at least in the industry, which is going to be the 5070 Ti Super. We're going to see a 5080 Super, and then just a standard 5070 Super. So similar to what we saw with the 40 series. More than likely, they're going to go that route. I certainly don't expect them to even touch the 5090. 5090 will stay exactly where it is. There's not going to be a 5090 Ti. There's not going to be a 5090 Super. Because, again, 5090 is already expensive as it is. And I know that some of you might be expecting it, but I wouldn't. Not from the 5090. The 3090 Ti only happened once, and that happened only once for a reason. So don't expect it from them. I would say definitely expect 5070 Super, 5070 Ti Super, and 5080 Super. And when it comes to their G7, when it comes to their VRAM, most importantly, because I know you guys really care about this, because I know everybody's getting tired of 16 gigabytes being really the limit. Allegedly, the 5080 will go up to 24, the 5070 Ti will go up to 24, and the 5070 will go up to 20. So we'll see if that ends up holding up and see if they actually do it. But again, we'll find out, especially once CES comes around and once they come out with their announcement. More than likely, if they do, it's, again, CES time, or they'll come out with the GDC Summit when we actually hear something. So Casey Wall says, I'm not upgrading to AM5 from AM4. AM4 is still adequate. I'm also not upgrading to my 3070, as to get potential upgrades that I'd notice I'd spend $500 to $600. Just hate that it only has 8 gigabytes. I agree. I can understand why you don't want to upgrade to AM5. But I do have to say that there is a very positive thing about upgrading to AM5. Of course, you got PCI Express 5, you got DDR5. Again, not really a large difference between when it comes to the RAM speed side. And I can see why you want the 3070. But I can say the lifespan, most importantly, when it comes to the AM5 platform, is great currently. And if you're worried about upgrading and that you'll say go out of date, you don't have to worry as much. That was much more of a bigger problem, especially back then when it came to building PCs. Because immediately DDR2, then DDR3 just came out like right after, like maybe 2 years after. It was insane. But luckily when it comes to PC building now, it seems that the hardware life is much more lengthier. Now, of course, AM5, its lifespan, if you want to know the end of the lifespan, expect it to last up to probably about to 28. Because when they build this new processor, when they do release it, they're going to end up releasing it within the next year. And then even into maybe early 2027. So you can expect them to really hold on to this AM5 system up until like 28, to be honest. Maybe even to 29 if they really push it. And again, it's not as bad upgrading because at least you know you have plenty of lifespan. And then for however long you plan to keep that PC build for however amount of time. And it's still going to be up to date. Eventually, it's just going to get to the point where PC building is just going to last longer and longer. So if you're afraid about upgrading because of that, I get it. Now, for the 3070, it depends on your limits here, on what type of monitor you're gaming on. If you're gaming for 1440 or 1080p, it probably really doesn't matter to you as much. But if you do plan on upgrading your display, then it's going to matter. Not worth it when AM6 is, yes, I get that. Again, AM6, you're just going to have to sit for, you'll have to sit for quite some time before AM6. Rate my build, please. Intel i7 10700s, GTX 1050, 16 gigabytes of RAM, all sitting. Yeah, I see why you got the name Stoner 724, because that build certainly fits Stoner 724. Don't you guys think? If I were to rate your build here, I gotta give it. I gotta give it like. I don't even want to rate it, to be honest. It's pretty rough. What the hell do you game on? I gotta say, what kind of games do you play? Nothing wrong with your build, but I do gotta say, like, it's definitely going to be at least time to upgrade your GPU. Get out of the GTX 1050 at least. Get like a 20 or 30 series. Might as well get a 30 series now, since it seems like it's much more plentiful now. I just realized something, guys. I just realized that, yeah, I bet it's rough. Out of 3 different resolutions, 1080p, 1440p, and 4K OLEDs, what would be better for a 4070 Super with 12 gigabytes? Don't go 4K OLED. You're more better off going off of 1440. If you're really pushing it, again, 12 gigabytes is really limiting, I gotta say, for the most part. Because I gotta say, when it comes to it really depends if you're okay with turning down your performance side. 1440p, more than likely, you're pretty much good with for a little while. But then you're gonna end up wanting to upgrade to like a 4070 Ti at the minimum, because you're gonna need the 16 gigabytes for sure. So is ASRock motherboards good? What RC? You know what? That's actually a great question, Tusar, because there was an incident that actually happened earlier in the week. I would love to discuss with you guys. It was actually quite. Egyptian Savage, good to see you. I'm glad to see you here. You gotta listen to Stoner. You need to help out. You gotta help him out here, bro. The PSU that comes with the Thread 30, it's 240 watts. Some processors are more than 240 watts. That's insane. that PSU is just going to power enough. That GPU, that power supply is good enough to just power up Intel. So Casey Wall says the 1440p taking flight, it will do 4K, but it will need DLSS. I prefer 1440p over. I agree. I agree 100% with you. DLSS is certainly overrated. I'll tell you right now. Like, I have the RTX 5090 even, right? In fact, we tested it with other cards that are 50 series, and I gotta say, DLSS 4 is overrated. I don't even touch the frame generation part of it because it's just insane. It just doesn't make sense. You actually end up with a worse score using DLSS, like using the frame generation part of DLSS, than actually turning it on. They'll tell you you're getting better frames, but your score is actually a lot worse. From if you're benching it anyway. So also I play in 900p, so it keeps my experience smooth. Honestly, if that's not bad, if you make it work. 75 watts from the PCI Express is what powers that monster of a 1050. So yeah, that's true. You have the bus speed right there. So instead of the 4070 Super, I guess it's used. I'll recommend a 6800 XT for the $350, and it's a 4K card. Egyptian Savage. He's another guy. He's also a PC builder himself. He's also great to talk to. So 6800 XT is the best used price to performance card on the market, but RDNA 2 sucks. You know what's crazy? Currently, AMD is going with their RDNA 3 cards. They're actually going to put their they're also going to put their what's it called? Now it's slipping my mind, but they're going to put their practically their version of FSR on it, FSR 4, which is a good thing. It shows that AMD is really trying to cater to all their consumers practically, which is important. So SRA88 says, currently using i9 1080XE pair with RX 5700s, mainly for gaming CS2 at 1080p. Do you think I have to upgrade my GPU? Thanks. Honestly, if you're just playing Counter-Strike 2, it really doesn't matter as much. Because Counter-Strike 2 isn't really demanding of a game. Unless you're playing super competitive, you're trying to hit, like, say, 400 or 500 hertz on a frame, then it would matter. Then you can upgrade your GPU, but you don't have to even upgrade to, like, a crazy GPU. You could just upgrade to, say, like, you'd be happy, honestly, with, like, even a 5060 Ti even. You'd be happy with. But with the 10, but yeah, your processor is going to be good enough as it is, and it's not really going to push. You're not really going to push much out of Counter-Strike when it comes to the processor usage anyway. So Taken Flight says, I'm more of a story mode gamer, so I prefer quality over performance. But thanks, I was thinking of 4K OLED. Oh, and it would make sense to upgrade to using 4040. I gotta tell you, once you go OLED, it doesn't matter what type of resolution it is. It just makes a large difference. I don't know if you guys see it, but this screen right here on my left is OLED versus this one, which is just standard LCD. And if you look at them both, I know it's probably again hard. I'll try to focus. You can probably see the difference, right? You probably can see the difference between the two right there when I do that. But I gotta say, if you really compared the two, you could see that it looks a bit more washed out on the LCD display versus the standard OLED display. So let me get back up here, getting lost in the sauce here. So, bro, I get 150 FPS in CS, bro. You don't need... Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You really don't. It's really not necessary. Bro, yesterday I was watching a stream and a guy wanted a parts list for a $1,000 PC. The streamer made him a list, but I changed something on the list to make it better, looking while spending less. Exactly. That's what you want to do. That's exactly what you want to do. In fact, we just looked at Micro Center earlier. You could go, they have a much cheaper build, which is like $430, and versus the one that was 600 and I think 630 it was. But you go with a bit of a lower processor, not by much, a 7600 X3D versus a 9800 X3D. Of course, 9800 X3D is better, but if you're trying to get the best value and you're just gaming anyway, for the most part, most people will be happy, honestly, with the 7600 X3D. So I'm building my PC with the 5070 Ti Extreme Infinity, Zotac with the Ryzen 7 9950 X3D. It's a great combination. I gotta say, Shadow Monarch, it sounds like more of, are you doing more content creation as well, or are you doing more video editing and photo editing? Because that's what the 9950 X3D would be great to go with. If you're just gaming, it won't be as necessary. Really? He got mad and banned you? That's terrible. Yeah, exactly. There you go. See? So, don't you hate the fact that they're facing TPM 2.0 secure boot on these new games? It's making older hardware that can still play 1080p obsolete. And I do agree. It's a shame. In fact, I just upgraded a buddy's PC. My buddy Leland, his PC needed to upgrade because of TPM 2.0. They're also doing it with Counter-Strike. Not Counter-Strike. Now I got Counter-Strike on my mind. They're also doing the same on Black Ops 7 because now they care. But I can understand why they're doing it two at the same time, because they're trying to prevent hackers. Now, it's not going to... They're always going to find a way around it anyway. So, it's kind of like this... bittersweet thing, I guess. But hopefully it does help out. We'll see. For the most part, but what it's 2025. I never recommend the price of an OLED monitor with the LG OLED series is available. TVs are matching. Response time of a monitor and 48-inch model is cheap and great as gaming. No, it is. They are great, but no, the price of, believe it or not, the price of OLED monitors aren't as expensive as they once were. They were really expensive, of course, before. But if you look at the pricing for it, they're honestly not bad at all. In fact, we looked at an ASUS OLED that's a 32-inch one 4K for like a little bit over $600. Yes, and developing content, perfect. That's exactly what you would use it for. Because then, to be honest, like anyone that's just gaming on a 9950X3D, that's just overkill. And you're not going to utilize the full multi-cores that it does offer. For anyone that is just planning to do, say, a PC gaming build off of a 9950X3D. So, okay, we go with the 7950X3D, same cores, like $150 less. Yeah, that's true. The price for OLED monitors are crazy. I can agree with Casey. What GPU and CPUs are you using? Now it depends. Okay, so the GPU and CPU that I currently use for this build, not the streaming build, but for the gaming build that I have, is I have a 9800 X3D with a RTX 5090. Again, RTX 5090 would be overkill if you just use it just for like just regular 1440p gaming. Unless again, 5090 would also benefit those who are interested in LLMs or also interested in any type of creation work as well. But if you're to do a gaming build, I'd say the more fair GPU, to be honest, is going to be the RX 9070 XT, and also another one would also be more fair is the RTX 5080 as well, as they're also getting more fair in pricing as well. So let me go back. I'm getting lost in sauce here. So, sir, I'm using the Gigabyte B850 AORUS Elite Wi-Fi 7 AM5 DDR5. Is this a good choice? It's a great choice, honestly. It's a great motherboard. Oh, thank you. Thank you for subscribing. So B850 AORUS Elite Wi-Fi 7. That's a great motherboard. For your GPU, yes. I have a 2200 monitor. Oh, do you really? Which monitor do you have, Egyptian? What do you do when the new meta nowadays, people, when they build a high-end CPU and a mid-range GPU? Since the price of... I would say, like, most people that use a high-end CPU and get a mid-range GPU are more for those who are using it for, say, rendering. Like things like if they're using it for like if they're more into things like Photoshop and more into video editing, then it's good to have a high-end CPU. Then is since the price of a new GPU is far from the actual MSRP. Hopefully it does get more fair. I feel like it's if the competition does hold up with AMD and if AMD and Nvidia really go neck and neck next year, hopefully they really do, then we can see pricing get a bit more fair. And Intel, they threw the B50, but again, that's not going to be really competitive at all. That's just like a cheap GPU that they threw out there. But it's a very cheap workstation GPU. In fact, it's like $400 you can get it for. But it's not going to be for really great for gaming. It's more workstation purposes. Some OLED TVs are cheaper than monitors. Is it the amount that hurts? Yes. That's also part of the reason. They're also different when it comes to... Now, it's also good when it comes to the input lag when it comes to OLED. I also don't know how much you know about TV technology, but I'm always going to prefer mini LEDs. The burn-in occurs with every OLED and their time in mini LED destroys them. It's funny because they had a lot of mini LED in display. Like when it comes to CS, it seems like that was one of the things that they were really pushing. But again, each generation of OLED does get better. Currently, a lot of companies, they're about on the fourth to fifth generation OLED. And what they do to improve it is they use things like pixel cleaning or some sort of motion into the OLED to prevent any type of pixel freezing, which can happen to OLEDs, like the burn-in. And if that's the case, that's how they prevent that from happening. The good thing is that the newer generation, they know to constantly kind of shift the pixels so it doesn't have that issue. Before, with the original OLEDs, they would just have a picture come up and it would stay there for hours, and next thing you know, you try to shut off the OLED TV or OLED monitor, like if it was on a game, then it would just freeze on that specific area, which was a problem. But now it's not really as much of a case now, which is a good thing. That pixel shifting and pixel remapping has certainly changed it up when it comes to OLEDs. Now, the Samsung, let's see, let me go back. So, taking flight, any OLED TV on the market worth buying does 4K at 120 to 165 hertz. That's true. Egypt, $2,000 for a monitor. Well, yeah, believe it or not, there's a lot of them out there. You know what's crazy is the Samsung ARC. Samsung ARC is one of those really expensive monitors, but they're nice to see. But I feel like it's good to see. It's very dope to see, in fact, in person. But I feel like it's not really practical, too, at the same time. Like, when you see the Samsung ARC, you feel like it's awesome. Especially when you're inside of a Micro Center or Best Buy, you're like, damn, this would be really nice. Like, if I had this in my house. But when you look at it, practically, you're like, what use can I really use it for? But I use the 1440p 260 hertz. Should I go OLED 4K 240 hertz? I mean, you could. But you could. But that's if you really care about resolution. Now, it's a big difference. You will see quite the difference when you go from, say, if you're on 1440p, is it 2650, is it? 2660 by 1440, or is it 3440? Like something like ultrawide. What you'll notice, either way, you'll still notice the difference in 4K resolution. But do you really care about 4K that much to convert over to 4K? Can you suggest me which OS should I install? Windows 11 Pro or just 11? Because right now I have the 4050 RTX and an i5 14K laptop, which has Windows 11. Is it possible? Yeah, of course. You can still put Windows 11 on your PC. You shouldn't have any issue. It should, 14th generation, they should still have TPM 2.0 even, if that's what you're curious about. Egyptian Savage says the Samsung Odyssey G9 OLED is 49-inch QD OLED. I think that was also for a great deal too, if I'm not mistaken. I remember. But I think the one that I saw that was for a great deal, the one that I actually had a video based on the Amazon deals, and it wasn't OLED, but I think it was not 100. I wish it was. I would buy it in a heartbeat. It was like $699. I don't think it was OLED, but it was for the LED model for it. So it depends on how long you leave your screen on the same picture. Exactly. That's the problem with OLEDs. My old Samsung phone got burned in when I was... No way. Really? No way. That's funny. Yeah, you got your Samsung phone got burned in. And it's funny because they use AMOLED displays as well when it comes to their phones. So I can see it happen, but I just think that's pretty funny. And another thing that they're really pushing, I'm sure you guys heard of it too, when it comes to display technology, is what's it called? Tandem OLED. It's like another type of OLED, where it again, it's like something that will also help keep refreshing the display as well. I think it's called Tandem OLED, something like that, but something crazy. Egypt is an ultra wide. is that an ultra-wide monitor? Did he put it in Discord? Oh, no, he's not in Discord. Also, if you guys, just to let you know, you guys are more than welcome to join Discord. It's down in the description box down below. If you have any questions at all, I do go into Discord and certainly answer a lot of the questions there. But it's down in the description box down below. Feel free to use it to contact me if you want a PC build, even, or if you want to ask any questions. Feel free. Discord's just open, or you just want to talk about what you ate for dinner. So feel free to join Discord. You're more than welcome to. So yep, super ultra wide tandem OLED. Yes, that's what it is. LG's doing it. There's quite a few companies that are really pushing it. So I think I'm not the only minority that believes that phone specs are getting so overpowered. And I agree. No, Casey, I agree with you. I mean, what are they going to really do next when it comes to phones? Remember how they really were running out of idea when it comes to phones, where they were talking about like doing like, I've heard all kinds of crazy things, like how they said that they were originally going to think of making the phone have like a projector mode, just say, like where you can just sit it on the table and you can use it as a projector, or you can play your game off the projector mode. Be pretty dope, to be honest, but it's not, again, not practical. Nobody's going to really use it like that. Also, remember when they were talking about laser keyboards? Like eventually, like how they would have like a display, like a projector type of display where it would kind of display out of your phone where you can use like a keyboard, but that never came to fruition. Satellite was another thing that they've always talked about. They have it, but only on emergency use. I could see that's maybe the next biggest revolution, but other than that, it really is limiting. There's not really much you can do on a phone. So, is XMP on Dell BIOS? I have Ripjaw RAM. I don't know if that matters. To be honest, owner. XMP on a Dell BIOS, I gotta laugh because Dell motherboards are probably one of the worst because it's complete. It's not ATX at all, and it's very limiting when it comes to Dell. It's like they build it cheap on purpose so you can buy another PC. Unfortunately. But, I mean, you're always welcome to do a quick swap. You could change out the motherboard. You're going to have to do custom mounts because if you're on a Dell case, you're going to have to practically make ATX mounts in there. So, here's a good question. Is it better to purchase a CD key from a third-party company or for cheaper or straight from Micro Center? Now, this really depends, I gotta say, because unless it's a reputable third-party company, there's a few that I can say it's a bit more of a gray market, but there are like trusted key sellers such as like Green Man Gaming's one. I like cdkeys.com's pretty good, but anything other than that, it can get quite sketchy to the point where I've heard stories where people purchased keys, and I haven't witnessed it myself because I don't buy from too sketchy of a website, where they purchase the keys, and then after they purchase the keys, they end up getting their keys revoked. So they'll have the game for maybe 2 or 3 days, and the key gets revoked. So sometimes it might be better to purchase from a reputable website, or it's better to purchase it from a Micro Center. You want to avoid the ones where they are a bit sketchy or you never heard of them before. So, let me see. Have a good question. Is it okay? So, Egyptian Savage, did you ever try chicken liver? In fact, I have. I actually like it. I did try chicken liver. The newest generation of phones can emulate all the way to 360. I do believe the handheld gaming devices are a waste of money when phone devices will when same compute power. Just my 2 cents. Taking flight, never a simple command prompt entrance will activate. Yeah. So I do have to say this though. I gotta say one. Oh really? You know what's actually really good? Yeah. This honestly, you guys got to try it because I'm really a big fan of like when it comes to like things like izakayas, and izakayas are a kind of like are like just like a bunch of different food that they mix up and you drink beer practically, right? And one of my favorite things I like is a chicken hearts, believe it or not. It's actually really good. I know some of you might not like the sound of it, but it's honestly really good. Same thing with chicken liver. It is really good. Now, when it comes to active, I do have to highly recommend that you guys got to also check out, which is way underrated. I'm surprised not more people use it, is GitHub. GitHub's a great place. They have great commands you can take advantage of. Just check out GitHub. For those who are interested in, say, deep loading Windows. But anyway, Egyptian Savage says it's super famous in Egypt. I have a food truck on my street that sells it. Oh, yeah? Yeah, I would definitely try it. That's one place I haven't got to go see is Egypt. I hear a lot of good things about it, though. Can you compare the AORUS versus the Astral? Yeah, certainly. I can compare that. Let me see. Let's go real quick to the stream browser here, and we will compare it. I apologize to my... It's like a little delay when I switch over to the vertical side because for some reason it's weirdly not linked. I don't know why. Let me make sure I link it. Let me see. Where is it? Shared browser. There we go. Perfect. Well, anyway, let's go up. Right now, we're on just the WCCF. We're going to compare the Astral and 5090 versus the AORUS Master 5090. Now, I know for certain that the clock speeds are going to be a little bit different here. I have only been eating chicken and broccoli. I feel you, bro. That's what I eat a lot of chicken and broccoli, too. I meal prep chicken thighs on my Weber. I got one, too. I got a Weber kettle. Turn the skin into carb-free chips. That sounds amazing. Oh, congratulations, Casey. That's awesome. Can you compare Sigma Computer Egypt to Micro Center through Google Pics? Oh, sure. Yeah, certainly. I could definitely do that. Oh, look at the price difference. God. Oh, wow. 3,222 versus 2,820. Jeez, what a price difference. I never ate really? You never had broccoli? It's great greens, I gotta say. That is quite the price difference. But look at the points. See, the general points gives you an idea. So 96 points is given to the ASUS ROG Astral GeForce versus 98 points. And more than likely that's because of the pricing. And it has more ports apparently. So if you go down here, right? Let's go in the feature side real quick. The value of the money, obviously. They're saying the RTX 5090 Master is obviously the better choice over the Astral RTX 5090. Because practically the fourth fan is forced in there. And it's going to be a bit more noisy because you do have 4 fans versus 3. You could throw in the optional 4th if you want, but you don't have to. So drop this kind of money and remember it's never going to be as legendary. Then 1080 Ti was amazing. That thing is still lasting till this day, which is incredible, I gotta say. So performance-wise, right? Performance-wise, let's go here. Again, it's a 5090. It's still a 5090. The difference is you just have 2 different companies that throw their names on it to see which one does better. Now, obviously, it seems like Gigabyte has certainly have the better numbers here at 2655 over 2580 versus ASUS. When it comes to Gigabyte as well, as 467 versus 454 when it comes to gigapixels. And teraflops, it seems that it also outperforms ASUS's Astral as well. So it's definitely, man, I gotta say, AORUS Master is certainly the better choice. If you're gonna if you had to pick between the two. Now, load temperatures, it doesn't quite say, but more than likely, they're going to be more than likely similar. Now, let's see. That's another thing I got to bring up too, is the resizable bar has been quite interesting. People also forget the RX 580 people are still gaming on. Yes, they are. What do you think about the Steam numbers, though? That's pretty crazy, right? How they're saying how that NVIDIA is still like the top 10. Like they're still, like if they look through the GPU list, the top 10 people that still use NVIDIA, or it's still NVIDIA, in fact. And that most people are still also using Intel. They lost some market share, but not much. They only lost, Intel only lost like about 0.6 or 0.7% market share. So they're still like barely hanging on there. So HDMI ports, it looks like ASUS has them beat because it has them 2 versus the 1, but the display ports match up. So Casey Walls also says, oh yeah, the 580. LOL, does anyone have a 1080 Ti they want to lend at home? Yeah, you got to help out Sterner here. Somebody help out Sterner. Somebody has a 1080 Ti. I know somebody does, like a spare one. My best friend cousin has a 2 terabyte Gigabyte GPU. I remember when that was the beast. NVIDIA knew what they were doing with the 12 gigabyte 3060. They're doing the, of course they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They just like how they were testing out the pricing when it came to the 4080, remember? The 4080 was $1,200 and it ended up actually not doing so well because of that. But then the 5080 was $1,000, and then they just threw some astronomical number for the 5090. It's almost like their pricing strategy, for some weird reason, ended up working. So speaking of Egyptian Savage, let's compare Sigma Computer Egypt to Micro Center through Google Pix. So let's do it. Okay, so Sigma Computer Egypt. This will be interesting. I'm curious to see what it looks like. Let me see. I'm just going on their website now. They have to have pictures here. Let's see. Let's go on Google. Let's just Egypt store. Did I mention my GTX 1050 has 2 gigabytes of VRAM? Hey, that was groundbreaking at one time. Having a gigabyte was amazing at one time. Oh, man. I'm surprised they don't got no real pictures. Maybe this is it. Sigma Computer. Yeah, let's go here. Here we go. There goes the inside of it. That looks pretty good, though, actually. Sigma Computer. That's Sigma Computer, right? And that's not too bad, actually. Seems pretty decent for the most part. It's not that enough of VRAM, sadly enough, that people do research and would buy a 16 gigabyte. Yeah, that's the only reason. It's because of the VRAM. I can't defend NVIDIA right now. Their greed is absurd. Until we start getting more VRAM, this will be my life. I agree. A lot of people went to AMD because of it. I've spoken to people at Micro Center that switched from NVIDIA over to AMD for that very reason. They feel it's just insane. Oh, I bet it's big. I wish I could get more photos here. This looks like it's just like one very specific area of the store. Let me check here real quick, fellas. Let's go to Micro Center, Miami. Just so you guys get an idea, because this is my local Micro Center here. This is how it looks. They have more photos here. They actually have, that's pretty cool. They actually have a 3D image, so you get an idea of what it looks like for guys who've never seen Micro Center. But yeah, it looks pretty much like this. Pretty accurate. Yeah. And hopefully you guys were with us on Saturday, saw that stream. If you guys didn't, it's the stream is still up there on my page if you want to see it. Ricky ended up doing a PC build. He ended up doing 14th gen for a really good deal. But yeah, they got the one side here. This is all their desktops. Then they got their monitors. And let me see. Once we go over to the left side here, yeah, this is where they have their displays. And hopefully it goes a little bit quicker once it goes towards the back of the store, where you can kind of see it. It says build your own PC. And over there is where they have all the... that's where they have all your PC components, from CPUs, GPUs, SSDs. I go to this exact store all the time. Yeah, you gotta. It's awesome. So you go to the exact one. You go to the Miami store too. It's awesome. Yeah, exactly. It's the only one in Miami. It's the best. It really is the best. I'm so glad that they put this here. But yeah, it's awesome. So, fam guys, I appreciate everyone who's joined in onto the stream here. I would love to stay on it a lot longer if I could. But unfortunately, I won't be able to. We will be going back live on Saturday. If anybody is interested, make sure to join on Discord if you have any questions at all. I appreciate everyone here. Make sure to check out Ricky. I don't know if Ricky's still here or not, but make sure you check him out as well. He's also on Discord. He's very proud of his very first PC he built. Everybody hopefully congratulates him. But thank you guys again so much for watching. I'm glad to see Egyptian Savage be here. I'm glad to see you guys. I love seeing all these new faces. Thank you, Casey, for coming in. Vero. I thank everybody here. Stoner. You were a great time here. Hopefully you join in. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Good to see Tushar. Good to see Mike. I'm glad for everyone here. Thank you guys again so much for watching. And this is Chris Mizo signing out. And I'm going to do do it, Stoner. Make sure to reach out. Make sure to join the Discord, Stoner. Got to join the Discord. Yeah, if you do it, feel free to share it. Love to see it. Thank you guys so much for watching.